Jose, you just got back from a high-level mastermind where real estate professionals, we'll call them, do high levels of transactions, not only in the retail space, but also in the creative space. Share with us some of your main takeaways.
If you had to double your business over the next year without increasing your expenses, what would you do? I probably have to evaluate like marketing channels. Which marketing channels are giving me the best return on investment? And are there inefficiencies to what I'm doing and what's actually driving revenue to the company and what's not? If I find those inefficiencies, I'm able to pour more into the marketing channels that are actually bringing in revenue and grow it that way. Because I'm technically not increasing expenses. I'm basically taking the resources that I'm already allocating and moving them into different areas. The other thing that came up for me was conversion as well too, and then also like agents as well too. Like, is adding agents or helping our agents improve conversion, that doesn't increase the expenses because they're 1099 salespeople. So it kind of, some of the questions that they ask like force you to kind of go into a part of your brain that maybe you're not really thinking about.
It's forcing you to think like an owner and not just a salesperson, like a principal in a business frame, right? So like, we've talked about before that there's only 4 ways to increase any business, and all of the gurus teach them because there's only 4. Call them different things, package them up differently, but there's only 4. 1 is to increase leads. 2 is to increase conversion, which you mentioned that. 3 is to ascension. So like you sell them a primary residence, then you sell them a secondary home, then you sell them a portfolio. And then the 4th is retention, is how do we keep people for longer? If you have 40 leads and your conversion ratio is 10%, you do 4 deals. But if you go up to 80 leads, same conversion ratio, you'll do 8 deals. If you increase conversion by 10%, with those same 80 leads, now you'll do 16 deals. You like 4x your business just by tinkering with those 2 levers, not even in an enormous way, in like an incremental way. What do you think a salesperson answer to those questions would be?
Make more contacts?
Yeah, that would be the only answer. That's the only answer. Like, make more contacts. That's it. A business person starts to think about leads, starts to think about conversion, allocation of resources, staff and people, starts to think about retention, starts to think about, hey, let me source the business and see which lead sources are actually doing really well. Can we increase conversion there in some way? Because we're already doing well there. So
I also met an operator. He's actually the head of sales, and he owns a piece of the company. He's like one of the biggest operators in Arizona, 100 contracts a month, bro. But what was really interesting is he's actually doing the same model that I'm doing, which is the acquisitions agents are both listing agents and acquisitions agents. So it was like really interesting. The guy spends $500,000 a month in marketing.
500?
500.
Holy smokes, bro.
Oh man, did you hear your voice? It was crazy.
Like 500?
You're like 500? Yeah, so the operator spends $500,000 a month in marketing. The retail side, I asked him, I said, what percentage of the business is retail, or how much does that bring in? And he basically, it was really interesting. He's like, look, the retail brings in $4 million a year. Marketing is $6 million a year. So the retail, if you're only doing retail and you're trying to compete against some of these investors, you're going to be negative because it's the marketing is a lot more expensive to do it. But if you're able to do the investing side of it, that's where the money's made. So he basically said that the rip on the investing is double what the retail is. So $8 million on that. I asked him, I said, how long does a typical listing, the cash conversion cycle? He's like, typical listing about 4.5 months from start to finish. I'm like, how long does the wholesaling, because they don't flip. I'm like, how long does the wholesaling take? And he said about 36 days on the cash conversion cycle. So basically the business brings in, I'd probably say, so 8 plus 4, that's 12, 6 other expenses, probably like $4 million a year in profit, somewhere around there.
Yeah, which is interesting because like that's exactly what you've seen play out when you gave your talk in Arizona. You witnessed from your own business over the last 24 months that the difference in the cash conversion cycle between the creative and the other.
But there's even so it was cash conversion cycle per leads, but then there's cash conversion cycle per exit strategy. like listing, flips, wholesale.
I understand. And I'm imagining the creative has a shorter cash conversion cycle.
The wholesale does, yeah.
And the wholesale has the shortest. And what we've seen play out experientially is that when you run that model, retail goes up because there's lots of listings there. It's just a lead generator. But notice that the profit margin is like half of what it is on the creative. So, but the retail does go up and you still make a lot of money doing it. And then the creative stuff, because the rips are so high, the revenue is double, and if not more, of what the retail stuff is. So you're actually like, we'll take the listings because they're there to take them. And we just have to create a system that is very efficient and effective, and train where you're kind of downloading your ability to convert those leads and go meet with those people and sign contracts, handle objections, close that whole thing, get price reductions to maybe 2 or 3 or 4 agents that have the capacity to work that business. And each of those agents are doing a lot of deals, like 30, 40, 50 deals a year. And then on the other side, the revenue is so enormous, and then you could build out a system there. And you end up with a $10 million operation.
The other thing that came up for me was I've used Real Geeks for like 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
But really Real Geeks it's got a CRM, but it's more of a good IDX website, meaning like a good website that shows listings, and it's SEO friendly. That's really what Real Geeks is. The CRM is okay. The real CRM is the one that you would use. There's one called Salesforce. It sounds a lot more complex, but these people modified their follow-up boss in a way where they're doing 100 contracts a month just based on follow-up boss. And that to me was like, oh man, like that is probably the next step to modify, to actually go from Real Geeks to follow-up boss.
Yeah, which is, I think, really important for you, because like you've been holding on to the Real Geeks things for a while, bro. And money has an addictive quality. So because of it, we get addicted to the way that we receive it. But now you're recognizing like, oh, from an efficiency perspective, like that's the move.
Gabriella did your guys' follow-up boss, and you guys would do all your transactions inside follow-up boss, right? All your action plans. Yeah. So what it made me think about too is like, so I have,
and all of our SOPs, by the way, were in follow-up boss as well. And so like when the tag changes from, let's say, like potential listing to active listing, the SOP automatically pops up, and the listing coordinator can go right down the list and do everything. Now, here's the wild part, Jose. So like I just spoke to, and I'm in talks with for the Do More Deals Summit, to bring a guy is an expert in AI. And he let me, I did an intro call with him last week, and I have a follow-up call with him. And he's a consultant and does it at a really high level for people. You know what he said to me? Because I was explaining him what I just shared with you. He's like, oh yeah, essentially you can create a bunch of projects that do rote repetitious things, but they take over like a whole department where you basically create a workflow. So let's say for listing coordination, that SOP pops up, bro, you can have an AI agent that goes down the list and does all the thing on the SOP. Now, the other thing he's going to do, which is wild, is he's going to show us something from a sales perspective, because that's getting really, really good over time. Like when it first came out, remember like a year or two ago when it first came out and everybody was blown away because it was like somebody talking about like Tesla cars or something, and it was an AI bot and it was having a conversation with somebody and like kind of a sales conversation. But the issue at the time was that there was lag in responses, right? Like you would say, yeah, that's fine. And then it'd be quiet.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Okay, great. Got it. And then it would go, right? Well, now it's becoming almost indecipherable. So all of that knowledge that you have had to learn, which is difficult for agents, the kind of shifting away from, hey, I just want to list the property, to, hey, we're a multifaceted real estate company. We can help you in various different ways. How to ask all the questions, basically all the puzzle, you know, your thing with the puzzle pieces.
Yeah. You
can have AI do that. But we actually have a partner who has a paid community that teaches this stuff. Idelis. Yeah. Daniel was telling me on the call I just did with him, we did a podcast. He knew it was a deal, but he didn't know how to do it. Idelis sat on the phone while she was at the airport for an hour. He was on the call, listened to her. It was a 1-call close. Okay. She sat on the phone, sent the DocuSign, got it all wrapped up for a wholesale deal. And that's invaluable, dude, to be able to do that. And people who partner with us, they get access to that community for free. Our